No, it's working. Oh, hey Joshua. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Check, check. Maybe I'm a little low. Let me know if my voice is like too low for the level of the music. Oh, great. Amazing. Well, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I haven't actually stopped making stuff. I've just not been posting as much to the YouTube. So what you're hearing in the background here is a live set I did about a month ago with a bunch of video game samples. I have a ton of these that I'm going to post on the channel eventually. It's just been slow. In fact, all the music I'll play today is in the background is going to be stuff I've made in the last couple of years. Oh, hello, Shoe Salad. Cool. Well, I'm glad that this is my first time trying a live stream on YouTube also, so maybe I'll stream more to YouTube. We'll see. But the goal today is, you've probably seen on my channel I use this case a lot to make music with, and it's all of the kind of final variations of the Mutable Instruments modules. And so something like Plates is like a follow-up to Braids, something like Rings is a follow-up to Elements, something like Beads is a follow-up to Clouds. Veils had 2 revisions, one with knobs, one with these sliders. Plonks here is like a micro version of Frames. Stages has no precedent really. It can be used kind of like streams. So at least when I use streams, I use it a lot like stages as a way of building envelopes. Tides, this is version 2. There was a version 1. Blinds has a smaller variant called Shades. And of course, Blades had 2 previous versions in a way. Ripples and Shelves. I guess Marbles, you could say Grids was the predecessor to it. And then Kinks and Links don't really have precedence, but there was branches. So there are some utility mutable modules out there, and the reason that I'm streaming today is because, well, for one, let's see if this works. I should be able to show you. I have like a bunch of the classic mutable modules. So everything from branches, like I was talking about earlier, to I have a prototype of Veils. It's a 10 HP Veils with knobs. Pretty interesting. Here's the old Shelves. Let's see what else is in here. I've got, here's Streams, the one I was talking about earlier about generating Vactral style envelopes. Of course, I love Frames. It's one of my favorite modules, but I've only really used the micro one a lot. And then even something like Edges, you know, kind of has a little bit of follow-up in some of the audio voices that Mutable makes, like something like the wavetables of Beads. But I haven't been posting a lot with these modules, and part of the reason is I was waiting to get a case. So you can probably not see the whole thing, but I got this big, beautiful teal case. And so today I feel like what I want to do is just listen to some of the music I haven't been posting and then build this new case. So I'm actually going to pop this one off, put this away. get the big new case up on the table. Let's see. It's huge. I love the Ikocase cases, so this is another one from Ricardo over at Ikocase, and I went for I was scared to get the painted ones, because, I mean, I love the natural wood cases he makes. They're really beautiful. This one I've had since 2020, and I've traveled a lot with it. It hasn't even taken that many dings or damage to it. And all these modules... Oh, by the way, one second, I'll be right back. All these modules have actually been in this case. So I got like a second wood case from Ricardo. And I have a bunch of videos actually that I've made with the classic modules. I have 3 of them that I haven't posted. But I kind of felt like I wanted to move. I also have another system, a video system in the works with Jordan Barty's wonderful Ming Mecha modules, and I've had them in this horrible cardboard case for a long time. So I think these are going into the wooden case, so I'll have a video kind of case, and then all the classic modules I'll put in this new case. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's see. I'm not used to the new locking system that Ricardo's made for these. So something like this should be somewhat centered. Yeah, and one thing I like about the new black, or the new teal case, is the interior is painted with a black stain, so the wood grain, you can still feel it in here. Whereas the exterior is more of like almost like an automotive clear coat over the paint. So it should be pretty scratch resistant. And he's also put, I don't know if y'all can see this, maybe I have to do it on this video, but he's also put little bits of hot glue over. This is like one of the only, oh, you can't really see it, but there's a little screw from the corner that pokes through. See the little screw in there? He's covered it with a little bit of glue so it's not sharp anymore, so pretty nice. Yeah, and I'm not so sure about the new locks. Like, I like the old ones quite a bit, but I don't know. There's a kind of clockwork thing going on with them, so we'll see. But yeah, basically this is like a typical case. There's a Meanwhile power in here. It's got a bus board with 3, 6, 9, 10. Looks like 20 outputs. The rails have the sliding M3 square nuts. He had made a few of these with hex nuts, and I would have to buy square nuts. But yeah, I can show this also. These are what the hex nuts look like in the rails. Oh. Maybe you can see that. Which are no good. They get stuck a lot. I don't really like them. The square ones are much better, which they'll be easier to show. They look like this. So you can see these slide really nicely in the case. So rather than having just like fixed rails, I actually prefer these. A lot of people don't, but I like the way that you can slide the modules to make them kind of airtight, or leave little gaps if you want to. So yeah, where should we start? I have an idea of what I want to do with this case, and it basically is like a kind of a emulation. Let me bring the mic over here when I'm talking. I have an idea of what to do with this case. It's kind of like an emulation of my other case that I've used for so long. And essentially what I do is I run it the same way, where Grids kind of powers the rhythm into a little Turing machine that I produce with a Pam's random output and a sample and hold using shades. And that is used to drive peaks for the drums. And also, I still use tides for bass voices using the Parasites patch on tides. And then for kind of like twinkly, like either percussion or melody, I tend to use Braids. Where is it? Too many modules. Wait, I legitimately can't find it. Oh, it's right here in front of me. I tend to use Braids, and then along with Elements. So Elements is kind of my rings-like, Braids is kind of my plates-like, and then I use Clouds to kind of tie it all together. So I'm going to run it kind of a similar flow in terms of building the patch. And that, of course, starts with Pam's. Though I guess a boring start to the video might be I want to replace this button with a black button. You'll notice I replaced the blue Pam's knob with blue, but maybe I'll leave the yellow button for now so that we can get to actually building this thing rather than spending time kind of taking the faceplate off or whatever. Though I don't know. You tell me in chat. Do you want me to start with making Pam's look the way I want it to? I was pretty proud of this find. It took me a while, like over a year, to find the right keycaps for Pam's. You can see my other Pam's yellow keycap is in here. So I'm just going to trade it out for a black one. Maybe I'll move some of these modules and just do it right here before we start to put stuff into the case. Let me just... It's kind of so crazy. It's like a Christmas Day kind of bacchanalia happening here. You can see my little screws are starting to pop out. I'll just put these here when I find them. Let me, in fact, move a bunch of these. And then I'll get to work just fixing the faceplate. And yeah, this music we're listening to is from the ROM chip fundraiser that happened about a month ago. And I think it turned out really well, so we're listening to it again. But we'll listen to some of the other stuff I haven't published yet. All right. I need a pair of pliers. I'll be right back. So I don't like using this particular pair of pliers because it has teeth and it's pretty easy to scratch the surface of one of these modules, but let's go for it anyway. To get knobs off modules, you just pull straight up. This one is not a Rogan knob. It's a typical ALM knob with the different color button on top. Because they use the toothy connection rather than the D connection on their knob there. And then I do like ALM's kind of surface nuts. They look really clean, but you'll notice that they have a flat indentation on either side, and so I'm just going to go through and loosen each nut to try and take the faceplate off. Just go righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and I undo these kind of like you're untuning a drum head. Just going to do them all a little bit first, in no particular order when I'm taking them off, but when we put them on, I'll tighten them in like a star pattern, like a drum head. Or, can you see this okay? I know it's not quite centered. Actually, we can move this slightly. Or it's like changing a tire, maybe is a better metaphor. Just being careful not to touch the faceplate. I wouldn't want to scratch any of the text off this, so I've loosened all of them. They should almost be ready to be done by hand. Yeah, see, this one's already can be loosened by hand. And when you can loosen them by hand, you just kind of do this with your thumb, and they'll start to come off. I'm going to try and keep these face up. They have a flat side and a curved side. I'm trying to keep the curved side up so I don't get confused and put them on backwards. This second one's harder to do with your thumb because of the LEDs. I figure I'll do at least one faceplate kind of removal on this stream and one knob upgrade. I'm going to change one of my Ripples knobs. But other than that, all the panels are put together the way I want them, I think. So you can let me know. I bought some of the potentiometer caps from Thonk when they had when Mutable's going out of business sale was happening. And I don't know if I actually like them versus just a black original. This one's not coming off as easily. There we go. So we just need to do the 4 up top. Oops. Hopefully I didn't bump the camera too badly. This set you're hearing in the background is basically a house set. And I leaned really heavily on a bunch of tops, samples of basically like the hi-hat of a drum kit, hi-hat and percussion tops. And so I used the Disting EX to run all the samples. It was 2 overlapping stereo set of tops. And then everything you're hearing underneath it, like the bass drum, the music sample, we're all running through my typical case that I showed at the start of the stream. So this is what... Oh, I did not want this this screen to pop off there. That's annoying. I guess some people change the color of their PAM screen, but I think we're just worried about the button right now. So I'm just going to pull firmly up on this yellow button, and then I'm going to look for my set of black buttons here. So we'll save the yellow button in case I want to go back. I like using Pamela's new workout for this case because it's kind of like age appropriate for the rest of the Mutable modules. Alright, so when you're putting on these buttons, there's some tabs here in a star shape that you need to align with. And if you don't, the button will be like too tall. So you can see right here, it's like too tall. It'll stick way out. But if I push in and rotate, I'm looking for those 4 teeth. There it goes. So it kind of pops down a notch once it finds those teeth, and now the button can't rotate, which is all we really wanted to do. And so now we can reassemble this. I don't want any hair in my... Whoop. I think we do still want this red screen. It's interesting. It's like a solid piece of plastic over the LED. It's kind of annoying to seat. One second. I'm going to wipe this off with a glasses cloth before I put it back on. Hopefully my cat doesn't try and visit me up here, because I have the modules covering up the desk right now. So you can see I'm struggling with aligning this screen element. That's not part of the newer Pams, but we'll get it. Oh, there it goes. So this makes it so that the screen is flat with the surface of the face. And now we want to kind of screw this all back together before I put the knob on. So I'm just firmly holding this with my thumb. And this is where the tire/drum tuning metaphor actually makes sense. So I'll do the upper corner, the bottom corner, and I'll just do them by hand. Like even when I'm changing a tire, I do the lug nuts by hand at first, all the way around until I can't anymore. So there's the top and the bottom. And now I'll do the other sides. And I won't tighten until I have most of these on there. And I'll tighten them also kind of the corners first in a star pattern. Okay, almost done with the boring part. Oops. Although maybe this is the relaxing part for the stream viewer. Joshua, I haven't checked out your channel in a while. Last time I did, I think you were building a few modules, or at least building some maybe guitar pedals from scratch, which seemed really cool. I think I'll probably do some DIY modules. Oh, let me stop the cat. Okay. Here she is. She's trying to climb up to hang out with us, but she's gonna have to chill down on the floor today. When she tries to climb up, I will leave and go get her. I like the little camera switching kind of thing. Let me know if the audio stops when I'm switching the camera. I want the audio to be consistent. I've never streamed on YouTube before. I normally stream over on Twitch, and my Twitch is not my name. It's Alt254, like my online screen names for like Blue Sky and Mastodon and stuff. So those of you who have been watching some of my music here over the years maybe didn't see when I was doing live streams over there. Though sometimes it's like teaching content. All right, so all of these, sorry, my hands weren't in the frame. All of these modules or all of these nuts are now screwed in righty-tighty by hand, or at least loosely by hand. I haven't like grabbed them and tried to twist. So now we bring back the pliers, and we just want to start with the outside edges. So I will tighten first this one, then this top one, then maybe this top one, then maybe this bottom one, and the goal is to seat the faceplate evenly before we're ratcheting the tension up on it. And I'm not actually going to screw these tight, just tight enough that me brushing it with my hand wouldn't kind of going in X patterns, just tight enough so brushing with my hand wouldn't loosen them at all. Okay. We're about halfway through this live set, by the way. So when we're done, I might put on some music that I made in Taiwan. I made 2 tracks there. Actually, I made 3, but I made 2 videos out of them. I just haven't... Sometimes I struggle to... I'll make like a really nice video, and sometimes I'll struggle to post it. Because it feels like a lot of work to do the like social media part of the post. So maybe I'll do more live streams. We'll see. She's also been pretty busy for the last couple of years. All right. Okay, that feels good to me. So we got the Pam's new workout with the black button. And to put this knob back on, we just firmly grasped it and pulled it straight away from the faceplate. To put it on, it's the opposite. You just firmly press it into the faceplate. So now we have this kind of mutable version of Pam's. Let's put it into the case, which will be here. And what we need, so this is where we might have some problems, right? Because I guess we'll make a pact where if we have any loose square nuts, we won't store them on this side, because normally I like to store a couple loose ones. Like, let's say I have 2 loose nuts on both sides. I'll use 1 nut for Pam's top and Pam's bottom, and I'll store the 2 nuts hidden underneath Pam's. But for this stream, I have no idea. I mean, maybe we might even need more nuts in these rows. The way you fix that is you, I don't know if I can even do it on this stream. You need an Allen wrench. You take off you don't need to take it off entirely, but you take off the rails, and then you pull them out slightly, and you can slip more nuts into them. But we'll just trust that we have enough. I mean, Elements takes up a lot of space. On the top, Frames will take up a lot of space. Braids will take up a lot of space. So, and we'll just store all the loose ones under Frames and under Clouds on the end. So, the other thing to note, let me switch back to the other view, is when you're installing a module, and you can feel free to ask questions if you've never kind of set up a modular before, if you're just hanging out watching. When you set up, and we see ALM put Pam on the back. The third one, she's got 3 legs, but this one's just Pam's new workout, so she's holding up the number 2. But they have on the back, they have this red marking. We can take this off. So you can see here that their little header pin here has a red marking. And so we just want to make sure that the red matches up with the red on this ribbon cable, so that when we plug it into our rail inside the module, we're still plugging essentially the 12 volt to 12 volt, so we don't short our module. And some of these mutable modules that we'll work on today can go either way, but Emily puts red stripe on the ones that can't. So the ALM says the word red, exclamation point. Mutable will say red stripe, I think. So let's go back to this. And then we need 2 nuts. And, oh, I should flip back one more time here. But I don't use knurlies. I just use a typical, like, 3M screw to go into my 3M square nuts. And I do use a nylon disc. I don't know if you can see this, between the inside surface of the screw and the surface of the module, I just put a little nylon disc. So those are also 3M nylon discs. They come in, I think I have a pack of them around here somewhere. Let's see. Oh yeah, here they are. They come in a pack like this. I think I got mine from Perfect Circuit. So yeah, they just say M3 times 100. And yeah, I use those with nuts. It's not a big deal if you don't, but... So going back to our main view, we're just going to thread in 2 of these. And then we have our 2 nuts that we've chosen. And also we're going to connect this to the correct side. There's a key on these pins. I'll come back here one last time. Which, at least on this Pam's, I know it's right. Like, this cable is built correctly because I've used it before. But this key makes it so that it'll only fit in the right way with the red strip down in my case. So we'll see. We'll see if that's true. I have a bunch of modules over here now, kind of falling off the table. So I'll get reorganized after I put in the first one. So yeah, let's put our red stripe down on the first slot here. Yeah, that looks good. Oops. And I just dropped my screw, of course. Usually I would do this with the case facing up, so I could just like slot these in. So I've given myself a bit of a challenge here. Yeah. I'll kind of line these up. Let's do the top one first. And I won't do it all the way, just a little bit. Let's do the bottom one next. Let's see how much trouble these screws give me today. All right, so this is loosely in there. Should we test it? Make sure like the case is working correctly. Just power it on. If I'm gonna lose a module, I might as well lose the old Pams. Oh, and it looks like my power has swapped sides. Totally wild. Let's put this in here. So I haven't bought an Ikocase in a few years. Let's try the first power on. Yeah, and it looks like Pam's is working okay. You can't see it, but the little LED here is turned on. I can see it's 80. And if I press our new black button, we can see the pattern starts to light up. From the last patch I did with the classic case, which I can show maybe after these. After I do the pieces from Taiwan, we'll show the classic case. All right. Well, I'm going to power it down, and I'm going to unplug it, because we're going to add a bunch more to this case. So let's tuck the ribbon back here behind Pam's. And you know, I might check out my modular grid to try and remember. I made a kind of version of what this case would look like. Let's go look at it over on the computer, and then we'll come right back here. Just logging into my my modular grid. I'll flip over. Okay, let's see if this works. If I press 3. Yeah, hello! Maybe you haven't seen my face on the channel, but this is what I look like. Here's the classic mutable that I've been planning. So, it looks like we were just going to start with Pam's and Ornament and Crime. Then have some utilities. Oh, and it looks like branches got voted out. These are the ones that couldn't quite fit for this build. So that's a bit of a shame because I love branches. But we'll follow this build to kind of fit everything in. I think the greediest thing going on in this build is the double ripples. I can't do with lower than 2 filters. I think I'm hosed because I need one for the drums mandatory and then one flex. And I got really used to using blades this way. And so the double ripples was kind of what this whole case was actually built around, which is funny. But yeah, you can see here that we'll come back to this as our kind of map for what we want to do today. And so let me head back to the main stream. And I'll keep this up so I can see it, so I have a little guide. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw the Ornament and Crime in here. Why not? This Ornament and Crime, I'm trying to think if I want to do this right this instant. Maybe not. But this Ornament and Crime is with the recent Teensy It's not the newest one. It's not like the 4.1 or whatever with the 8 outputs that DJ Phaser's been working on for so long, but it's the one right before that. So it's a little bit, you can do a little bit of wilder stuff on here. Like I think you can do squares and circles. So this one is going to go in my main mutable case, and the old Ornament and Crime to go along with the older Pamela's New Workout is going to go in this case. But for today, I'll put this one in just so we have it. It's also a pretty long cable. If you're ever building out a modular set, you can order these ribbon cables in all kinds of lengths so that you get kind of the perfect lengths on them. But I tend to leave the originals on. Oh my god, I just threw my screws everywhere. I tend to leave the originals on so that if I resell, I can say, oh, it's the whole original deal. One second, let me find where this screw went. All right. All right. And now we're ready to plug it in. Let's go. Same thing. We'll send all the rest of our squares over. And then I'll clean this area up actually after this. So we'll bring everything back. Though I like having a spot where we can kind of build out stuff on the other side. Okay. All right. And then we'll plug this in. Probably right next door. It has a really long cable, so maybe we want to reserve where we plug it in, but we'll see. We'll see if it bites us in the ass. One thing I might do is I have a bus cable, I think. I've lost track of it. Where I might float a bunch of the lower power utilities on one bus cable if we run out. It looks like we might run out. Let me count really fast. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We actually have exactly the right number of slots, so we're fine. I'm going to tighten these slightly so they're not kind of flipping and flying around here. Should I zoom in on the camera? Let me know. Should I zoom in on the camera when I'm screwing these in? Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, here's what I was talking about earlier. I've got this. If we ran into trouble, I have this flying bus cable where I can plug multiple modules into the same cable. So this can be pretty useful if you like run out of room in your case and if you know the power draw is low on a bunch of them. All right, moving forward, we'll clean up a little bit first. But I think the next two modules we want to do are Kinks and Links. They're right here. I decided to include these kind of out of necessity. I don't know if I could patch the way I patch without these two modules. So even though they're a little bit later in the Mutable catalog, I felt like adding them to the classic case because they just give you so much in terms of bussing and mixing on Lynx's case. This first one goes 1 in to 3 outs, 2 ins to 2 outs with a really nice addition. So you can even do CV, V-oct over CV here. You can add together and it will actually work and stay in key. And this one is a 3-to-1 that actually has a attenuation, I think a couple dB on each of these. So you can kind of blend signals, like if you want to blend your hat, kick, and snare into one output. Kinks, on the other hand, is all the math. So the inversions, all of the min-max algorithms, and then of course the sample and hold with the very useful noise output, because a lot of mutable modules don't have that noisy texture. There's no mutable module dedicated to distortion, so I like having some noise so I can blend it together and actually do some noisier styles of patches. Let me bring Braids back over here, Shades back over here, and then my 2 output modules we'll put right at the end. Okay, so let's put Kinks and Lynx in. Now, I think I'll end up putting Kinks. Well, it's hard to say which one I want up top. In my map, I put Kinks up top. Probably either is a good choice. So we'll follow the map for now. Oh, I haven't been showing it, actually. Let me unplug this. We didn't even check on UOSC. Maybe we, or U Ornament and Crime. Maybe we should have. But I didn't even check that the cable was all pinned in correctly. With this one, you can see there's a red stripe here, and it matches the red stripe. I've also used these in other cases before. Wouldn't that be sad if the new Ornament and Crime fails, though? I might unscrew it and double check it just to be safe. This has a slight new paint smell, the Ikocase does. I'm sure it'll go away, but my other cases, because they weren't painted, didn't have that. Alright, let's just double check. Okay, so you'll see on this one, this is actually kind of cool. It says either way on the top header here. Either way. So it's bi-directional. Well, now music has flipped. So once I get this pinned in here, I'll change it over to something else. All the music we're playing today is stuff I've made in the last couple of years, but haven't been posting as much. This set was all house music, but with home themes from games, so Firelink Shrine, etc. Get another pin here. Let me zoom in on the camera also. I'm gonna flip the music and zoom in on the cameras on this part of the rack I'm working on, so you'll have a better view. Let's see if this works. Center. Okay, that should work nicely. It should go back to zoomed out if it hasn't already. Yeah. Oh, maybe that's too zoomed in. Let me back it out just a touch. Okay, and while that camera's about to go correctly, let's fade this out, put on the next set of music. Okay. These two pieces can actually do this, I think. Yeah, so you'll be able to see me here. These two pieces I made while visiting Taiwan, and they're both built using samples from the Metro. So we'll just play both of them, and then I'll come over and flip it. These turned out really nice. I have a third piece that I didn't like the video as much on. The music's probably some of the best I've made with my case, though. My other case. Oops. Whoops. All right. Got Kinks in here. Let's get links. Double checking the back of links also. Red stripe looks correct. Sorry if I'm blocking the case temporarily. I'm pushing these pretty firmly into the rail here, but it's also not screwed entirely through. So I think that's fine. Oh, nailed that one. Pretty easy. All right. So there's Kinks and links. Let's flip it on and make sure we don't smell any smoke. Looks good to me. We can actually test if we see lights on links by sending the noise to, for example, the first channel, and we see this light turn on. We can send the noise to the second channel, and we see this light turn on. We send the noise to the third channel. It's very, very dim. So one way to test it is we could send the noise of Kinks into the sine input of Kinks, which makes a inverted noise, a rectified noise, and then I don't know what it's called when you delete everything below 0 in the waveform. I think rectification is... Wait, maybe that's rectification, and this one is like you add the inverse to it. You know, we might what we might do is, after testing this, we can just go to the Mutable website and see what they say. So here now we could take, for example, all three of these signals coming out of the sine, and, oh, they won't reach. As I was saying, take all three of these signals coming out of the sine and throw them all into the bottom of links. That is not lighting up. Interesting. Is it just dim? Let's try sending a gate out to this. Okay. It's just such a low signal probably with the noise. Yeah. The gate's working perfectly. So I'm satisfied. Let's flip it off and keep going. So this is where it actually gets interesting. We can start to put in some of our classic mutable modules. Oh shoot, is me, that's interesting. I think me pressing 1, 2, 3 over here actually is changing the YouTube videos playing this music. Okay, we'll just listen to part of this track again. That's a bit unfortunate. We'll put grids in next. Here it is. Double check the background. It says red stripe down here, and I was using grids in my earlier case, so it should be fine. This track is very Aphex Twin selected ambient works. Very inspired by those first couple tracks on that album. You can probably tell. Oops. We can almost get sound out of this machine. So once we have grids in here and maybe peaks, though we really want to make sure we're leaving enough slots for what goes underneath it. Probably tides here, I think. I don't know, streams. We'll be able to test the sound probably maybe after streams. Oh, did I leave it on the wrong image when I was doing tides? Apologies about that. Here's streams. Red stripe looks correct. Yeah. So I put grids in while you were staring at a blank set of modules. I was screwing grids in here. Let's do streams as well. So those are the two pieces of music from Taiwan. I really love them. Just gonna do a whole series on these Taiwan metro sounds. Let me flip to something else. So maybe after the Taiwan music, here's another set that I haven't published yet. I think you can see me here. So these are all, you can see they're like tall screen videos. I was thinking about like shorts or like TikTok, but they're also really cool. These are all really easy to make. It was just like a classic video game console plugged into Modular. And so I think we did like Super Nintendo, N64, Super Nintendo, N64, Super Nintendo, like back and forth. I have some PlayStation ones that I haven't published yet, but we'll listen to these. They have cool videos too, but you know, this stream will be mostly looking at, oops. So that was flipping around. I was kind of messing up the previous ones, but we'll mostly be looking at this. So for now, the other thing I want to do is what was our question here? On Emily's GitHub, there's manuals for all this stuff. So I think we had a question if it was rectification. Yeah, we wanted the sine area. So an inverter. Oh, I see. So it's a half and full wave rectifier. So I'm imagining the full wave rectification is this one, where it takes the bottom and instead of just deleting it, it inverts it. And then the half wave rectifier is this first one, where it just deletes whatever is below 0. We'd have to test it, I think. Or I just have to ask somebody who knows more about rectification. But I think that that's true. That this is the full rectifier and this is the half rectifier. We also just installed grids, which I really love. Oops. Did not pop up. This module is so cool. And there's actually there's a Marbles firmware that turns marbles back into like a mini grids, the same way there's a rings firmware that turns it into a mini elements. I actually think grids in a lot of ways is like more intuitive than marbles kind of first 3 T side of the patch. So we did that, and then we're also going to, we just put streams in, which is right here. Oh, what's wrong with the volume? This is too loud? The YouTube?
Too low, I think.
Say it again.
Muchi was saying it's too low.
What's too low?
The volume. There was a request to lower the volume.
Lower the volume?
Or increase the volume.
On what?
The music.
Increase the volume of the music? I mean, we can increase it a little bit. How's that? That's probably better. The Mario 64 one. Muchi shows up to ask for Mario 64 being louder. I think that that's really appropriate. We'll put this one up for just this one, and then we'll put it back down again. Putting it down slightly. So this one was really good because I was able to sample the 3 chords in this, I think, and get those into beads. I'll replay it a little bit. Right here. And so I was driving that with stages to get to the 3 chords, which is really nice. And then I synced the bass voice tides to those exact chords, also using stages. So this one was really clean. But let's get back to work. Yeah. Let me know if this is better volume for the YouTube music. I will release these videos eventually, but I don't want to deprive you of them entirely. What were we doing here? I think. Oh yeah, so these were all with the console. Just taking the audio out of the console. It might have been the audio out of the CRT TV they were in. Oh yeah, so we're doing streams right now. Let's get streams plugged in. And we can almost listen to the modular. Depending on if people want to, I will make a patch with this at the end of the stream. Moochie, how does the Chrono Trigger sound? Is it too loud? Too quiet? Get the robo sound effects. I play clarinet in this one. We want peaks. Red stripe. Okay, cool. We'll do a patch after. Hopefully you can hear this okay. It's still kind of quiet. Okay. You know, I'll just turn it up right now. Okay, how does that sound? Maybe it's like my voice is booming loud and the music's quiet. Let me know if that sounds better, Mushi. We have a couple more of these video games into modular pieces of music. Oh, this next one is great. It does have cursing though, because I've got the Ryan Lockwood an MRRL time. My insane pace. This is the 112. Oh, good. Okay, cool. So we got the mix right on the music now. Apologies for the first bit of the stream. Now, I think we should be able to test the sound on this, so I'm gonna get a patch set up. Make sure all the things are working. Let's make sure we send here. Yeah, it looks like it's all working. So let's make a tiny patch while we're here. We'll just do BPM to clock of grids, kick to the bass drum of peaks. Peaks is in drum mode, so it's emulating like an 808. Let's do the... Let's actually combine both the... There's no way to get hi-hat for us right now, so we'll just do snare. And then we'll take the outs into... We don't really need to do streams. We'll just take the outs into our mixer down here in links, and we'll take one big out over to the computer. Let's get a longer cable here. So we should be able to hear the music pretty soon. Maybe I'll plug it in after this Yoshi track is done. Yoshi's Island. Alright. So we should be able to hear kick drum now. So this is what it sounds like right now. It's not much. But we just have, I can raise this up too. Muchi, can you hear the kick and snare? Well, we basically just have grids driving peaks into links, and we're taking that out into our module. So we'll build something bigger as we go, but this is just a test to make sure everything is plugged in correctly. I'm also just enjoying kind of hanging out with y'all doing this. So I'm going to unplug that. And let's put something else on music-wise. We could listen to old patch notes, but these are all released. You can just listen to them. Let's see. I can pull up my last ROM chip charity stream. This is actually live on YouTube. If you want some new Patrick Lemieux stuff, this second annual, I actually kind of want to listen to the first annual, but we'll start here. So this was a live stream I did for the ROM chip journal, raising money. So you'll hear me occasionally in the background announce this like a radio announcer, but the whole set was based on water themes. So we'll put that away and go back to what we were doing. Okay, what were we doing? I think we wanted to... probably put in a mixer next, so we need shades. So we'll be doing that soon. Up on the top. And then... let's put in our bass voice down below, so that'll be tides. So we'll do tides and shades next. Let's double check our pin. So you got red stripe down on here, and it looks good. So let's come over to here and keep building. I really like how the knobs here match the color of the case. Ricardo did a fantastic job, as always. Hey everyone, I'm Patrick Lemieux, and I'm back again this year to play another improvised modular synthesizer set for the ROM chip charity stream.
This time we're diving beneath the waves to focus on samples from water-themed levels of various video games. If you'd like to request a track, leave me a message with a $20 donation. I'll play a random request at the end of the show.
So this set was done a year ago. Oh my goodness, I forgot to turn my system off and unplug it before plugging that straight into the rail. I think we're good, but I wouldn't do that if I were you. That's a bit of a mistake on my part. Okay, we got tides in, so that'll be our kind of bass voice. And then we have here there are two versions of Shades, and Shades kind of grew up into blinds. One of the differences between Shades and blinds is they don't have the CV input for controlling the attenuverters on these knobs. In fact, there's no attenuverters. There is you can essentially rectify the signal, but you can't do any CV control. So it's pretty limited, but I like to use this as a kind of meta module to control pitch. And so I imagine this module as if grids, if we go back here, if grids is my, sorry, the T side of marbles is kind of being made by grids going into drums, then with Shades, I feel like I have the X side of marbles, and the way I do that is I kind of simulate a Turing-controlled Turing machine patch using Pams into Shades. So we'll check that out in a second, but let's put this module in there. Just tightening everything up. I kind of want to do a patch now with the bass voice, but maybe we'll also add, so it's just not simply the bass, let's add braids also. We'll leave a gap here for elements on this side, and we'll do braids starting on this side of the rail. You can't really see the rail in the image. Maybe if I like tilt it down, it's this thing back here that I'm plugging everything into. So all these headers fit into the rail kind of back underneath here. So let's put braids in first, and then we'll do like another small patch. So let's see, let's move some of these modules closer to center. So we can kind of pull all of them down this way at this point. I can't wait to get to the ripples part of building this case. But braids will be next. The classic kind of complex oscillator, meta oscillator. And let's double check the stripe. So it says red stripe down here, so it looks like we're good. And I think after this we'll have to reset the camera also to give us more room, or I'll just pull this down this way. But let's go ahead and put it over on this side of the rack. I'm also going to leave this one loose so I can still access the one underneath it for elements. So let's plug everything in and start building. And I actually turn down the music, but let's make sure everything kind of turns on. We see shades, lights turn on. We see braids turn on. We see tides is on. So I think we're good. And I'll just pause this YouTube video we're watching, and we'll listen a little bit to this patch. So it sounds like this right now. And yeah, please, Moochie, let me know if the patch needs to be louder. I can definitely make it louder. Okay, so we need to do something a little fussier to get shades to give us some kind of melody for tides. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to repatch and start color coding my patch. I personally like to... It's been a real long time since I've done a breakdown of a patch. But I like to color code it so that my drums are red. So let's go ahead and do clock into clock. And then our trigger for the bass goes to bass. Our trigger for the snare goes to snare. Bass and snare both can go out, and we will add them together in... Actually, we're going to add them with the hi-hat sound, so we'll do it all in this same spot of links. Though maybe that should be for our final out. Maybe I'll do that. So these two out will go to this second mixer, and we'll throw them from that second mixer down into our out. And let's pick a different color for our final out. Let's just do black. So it sounds like, should sound the same as we had before. But now we want to add one more thing to our drums, which is we want the hi-hat to trigger our braids. And we want the braids out. We'll use the long strip for this. Use the braids out to go down to here. So we get this. And you could change. Okay, some kind of vowel sound sounds good. We could even take the accent out of grids and throw it into like timbre, or even not V-act. Let's try color. No, let's try timbre again. I don't hear it very well. Let's try FM. Okay, that actually I can start to hear a little bit. Cool. So I got a clicky thing going on in here. We can adjust. Okay, we're working on our snare right now. I think the snare being nice and tight is fine. The bass drum, though. There we go. Want it to be a little bigger. Now for the melody of this bass, this is going to be slightly more complicated. So I'll use yellow for the bass. In Pam's over here, let's output on our one of these channels. It looks like maybe let's just do channel 2. I'm looking for one. I don't think any of them are being used for this right now, so we'll just do 2, and we'll set 2 to what I like to do is a very fast signal, like let's say eighth notes or 16th notes even. Let's do 16th notes. And then we're going to set that to random. There's random. So I'm having trouble seeing it. Okay, there's random. Our level is 100% right now. No offset. Width is, I think we'll do width 100%. So it's just like almost like a sample and hold random feed. Phase, delay, skip, E-step, trig, rotation. Here we go, loop. So we're looping 16. It's already set there to a 16th loop. And let's just quantize it to a major scale. Can we do like... Yeah, we'll just do a major scale for now. And we'll send this signal, which is doing this kind of random, full range, by the way, randomization. We'll send that to our first channel of shades. And then this should be able to control how, this first knob should be able to control how wide the range is of that. We don't have an offset for this signal yet, but we take this range, we'll throw it down into tides, which normally is used as a modulation source, but I am using it as a bass voice using the Parasites firmware. And then we can take the out of tides. We'll have to test a bunch of these outputs. Let's test them right now. Here's the high output. Okay, quite high. Here's the low output. Very video gamey. Here's the uni output. Kind of a cool texture. And here's the bi output. Okay, so let's use the low output. Which all seems fine to me, but we don't want this bass just like free running. We'd probably like it to hit with the bass drum. So this is where streams comes in. Streams we can use as a as an envelope generator. So we're gonna throw the bass into the in of the first side of streams, and then we're going to use the accent of the bass drum to excite that side. So you can see it's exciting here, and we have it set to a, I think it's set already to a Vactral style. Yes, it's set to a Vactral style attack, so it should kind of like fade out once it's attacked, and then we'll send the out to here. Okay, so you may hear now in this that, oh, the patch could be louder. Okay, 1 second. Sorry, obviously I'm not watching chat close enough, but all right, check that out, see if that feels right to you. Sorry about the volume problems with this. Okay, but the problem with this bass is like, this is good, but here it's like always glistening like after every note. Well, I kind of want to just like hold these notes. So this is where like a sample and hold might be very useful. So instead of sending this signal right into the bass, the one coming out of shades, I'm gonna throw it into the sample and hold of Kinks, and then I'm going to, instead of triggering just the excite with this, I'm also going to trigger out of the accent of grids. I'm going to trigger both the excite of streams, and I'm just using a splitter cable for this because it's just sending a gate out, so I don't care if the passive molt is going to kind of lower the voltage a little bit. But then we're also going to trigger our sample and hold. So you can see here, it's very, very faint, but our light here is changing every time it goes off. And then we can send that out to the V-oct of our tides. And then if we use this first button here, this first red knob, we can lower which notes the bass is doing. And then if the bass ever needed to play a solo, we could do two things. We could patch into a different accent. For example, like we could patch here. Oh, the accent is actually a lot lower. Why is that? Interesting. Kind of like the original actually, but I was gonna say you could kind of crank up the knob and make it hit much more often. But I'm gonna set it back to the way we had it. We'll put this back into accent. And we should be... Oh, I didn't like those static sounds that just happened. I think that's because I'm jumbling my cables around. But I think we're good with the patch now. And yeah, Moochie's saying the volume's much better now. So yeah, just let me know. If it's ever too quiet or too loud on the stream, let me know. But anyway, we've got the kind of start of something here. I'm gonna leave this plugged in as I keep adding to it. Okay, so let's go back and put music back on for a little bit. And let me know, I mean, now maybe this music is too loud, but let's add a few more modules. So, what do we need next? Well, the elements could go in, down at the bottom. This is the biggin. An amazing modal synthesizer to do physically modeled sounds. Kind of, it has a bow, like a string-like resonator, a blow, so like a flute or wind style resonator, and a strike, like a percussive resonator. I should say these are the exciters for a resonator that you build over here in terms of kind of the chamber that these strikes are resonating in. And we can check for the stripe info. So we see red stripe back here. So let's put in elements. And I'm gonna remember this time to freaking turn off my synth before turning on. I also think we should pan the camera more to see the next bit of this. So let me do that now. Yeah, that looks good to me. The stream feels a little harsh. One second, let me turn the lighting down.
This is the ROM Chip Charity Stream, and you're listening to an improvised modular synth set featuring water-themed samples from retro video games. So
maybe I just need to turn the lights up in the room.
Seaman,
1 second.
Dire Dire Docks from Mario 64, and Downed Frigate from Metroid Prime. Next up is Jellyfish Chorus by Noboru Moto from Tetris Effect, followed by Aquatic Ambience by David Wise from Donkey Kong Country. If you'd like to request a track, donate at least $20 with a message. I'll play one of your requests at the end of the set.
I think it looks okay. Let's keep building. So let me actually make sure this is zoomed in correctly. Okay, we're a little over halfway. And let's go ahead and plug this in. Oh yeah, we wanted to plug this in over here. Right in here. That looks good to me. Just verifying the red stripe continues to be down as I plug each of these in. And then let's get 2 more nuts over here. There we go. You know what? It looks like to me that I might have jumped the gun on the elements, because I think that Patrick in the past wanted warps after the bass. Let me think about that for a second though. Could also be really cool after elements. I guess if I put it between tides and elements, that makes a lot of sense. And it'll be right underneath braids, so I think that's probably correct. Patrick in the past is probably right. Warps is an amazing kind of both math and maybe it's the closest Mutable has come, aside from the beautiful clouds reverb, to like almost like an effects panel. The thing that I like to do with this, and I think a lot of people like to do with this, is to modulate what algorithm this knob is going to. So it can kind of add a bunch of glitch sounds. It works really well throwing like a hi-hat into it and then modulating the algorithm of the hi-hat to kind of change the texture of it. I could see it being somewhat useful for bass. The other thing going on with the classic Mutable lineup is there aren't a lot of attenuation sources. So the fact that both streams and warps have attenuators built in is really, really useful. And I wonder if I should actually change, if we go back to this view, I wonder if I should actually put streams over here next to warps. So we'll have 4 voltage controlled attenuators next to one another in the middle of the rack. I think I will do that. So I'll change a few things around. 1 second. So we'll just listen to this music while I tweak. This is one of the downsides of not leaving any of the nuts, the square nuts, hidden over here. if I want to bring in a new module, it kind of means I have to take out elements and take out tides, which is a bit of a bummer. But I think it'll probably be worth it. Let's do it. You know, another option is switch streams and tides around and keep warps on the opposite side of elements. Could be one way to go. It's a thought, at least. You know what, maybe one thing I'm going to do also is I'm going to plug into the YouTube channel to hear how the voice and the music sounds. So I've been essentially up here kind of yapping with my headphones on and not hearing what y'all are hearing. Let me just double check that this sounds right. So check, check. Just testing the volume level here with my voice when I'm kind of standing here and the music. Okay, the volume is good, but my voice is like doubled. One second, let me put it into mono. I don't like that kind of doubling sound. Let's see if I can fix it. Check. Okay, maybe now the voice is going to be better. I'm going to double check it on the YouTube feed. Hopefully this hasn't been ruining your stream. Test, test. Just sounds a little phasey because there's like two sources. Looks like I haven't fixed it. So maybe for the next stream I'll make sure. Maybe for the next stream I'll make sure it works okay. But we'll just keep going. Hopefully it's not too annoying. Whoops. Hello. All right, let's fix that. Just gonna unplug. Just checking red stripe on warps.
For those of you just tuning in, or detuning in, to the ROM Chip charity stream, I'm Patrick Lemieux, and I'm playing a little improv modular synth set sampling music from water levels of video games. We've just listened to Aquatic Ambience from Donkey Kong Country, and up next is Map by Dean Evans from Waterworld, a Super Nintendo classic. After that, we'll play Zora's Domain by Koji Kondo from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and remember to donate with a message if you'd like to make a request.
So we're just listening to this in the background. The ROM Chip fundraiser is currently not going on. So that was Patrick from the past. One thing that I'm sad about with this recording that we're going to hear is I had this really cool lead line in this Waterworld themed moment, and for the charity stream, it was muted. And so we go through this next section, and I think it's still fine, but like it's missing like the lead line that I was playing throughout. Alright, so I've decided in that pause while we were working on audio problems that I'll just put warps in between tides and elements, and that past Patrick was correct, basically.
The sun. For millions of years, the source of life. But for one planet, the source of its demise. The temperatures climbed. The vast fields of ice at its poles melted, and the oceans rose. Centuries later, few people remained on this planet once called Earth.
Whenever you see me fussing to screw something in over here, pushing the rack around, it's because I'm trying to get a screw in place for or a nut in place for the screw to go into. So now we have our warps and elements. And I'm pretty excited because finally we get to do the moment I've been waiting for, which is the dual ripples. Okay, and so one thing that I would appreciate your advice on, if you've been watching the stream, is the default ripples version 2 looks like this with 2 white knobs. And I was feeling like my case, when we look at it over here, that the kind of proportion is like 60% white, or like, yeah, and then 15% kind of red and teal, or magenta and teal equally. And so for ripples, I do want to make one of these more magenta coated and one of them more teal coated, but I don't know how many knobs. I feel like this is too many. So maybe the question is, should it be the whole thing teal on this side, the big knob teal, and the small knob white, or the small knob teal and the big knob white, and I'll match the other one. Let me find my knobs while we're thinking. So here are the little toppers. See, I have like teal toppers and magenta toppers. Which I don't know if I like the toppers, to tell you the truth. And then I bought a bunch of mutable Rogan knobs when Thonk was doing the sale. I also bought, there's two kinds. There's like short and tall. But these are the short style, and I think I'm gonna keep them short. Oh, you only noticed the voice audio problem when I was near the computer? That's good. I'm looking at other examples on the patch, like Streams is a good example. The level is colored, but everything else is white. Tides, the frequency is colored, everything else is white, the frequency in FM. There's not really a rhyme or reason to it, and that's one of the reasons they moved to all white. But for this case, I want to kind of actually adapt some of the older or the newer modules to that format. So maybe we do frequency, the color, and to take these off, you just do a firm pull off. They're all D style knobs. So do a firm push with this one. And then if we want the resonance to be white, ooh, that's really on there. Don't be afraid though, it's not gonna break if you're changing your knobs. Just make sure you have a firm grab on it. Sometimes I need a piece of like a cloth to grab it with. So this one, let's turn it back into white. That was my last magenta short cap, by the way. So that's a little spooky. Because Mutable, of course, is closed now, so it's hard to kind of get this stuff. Do a white cap. Something like this. Oops. I'm losing my my little screws on these. And then the other thing, I think this is right, like that. Oh wait, this is a tall cap, come on. Did the wrong one. Let me get the short cap for it. Or I should say knob, that was a tall knob. Here's the short one. Sometimes, I don't replace these very often, but I wanted to show you all on stream that this one was replaced pretty recently because a cat bit it. See, they bit just this one knob. So they put this gash in it that I had to replace. Maybe I'll hold it further away. Very annoying. So yeah, luckily. The white ones are easy to buy. There we go. Got a little Zora's Domain. Now the other question I have, I think that looks really good. So I'm satisfied with that. But the other question I have is, what do you think of the toppers? The trimmer toppers. So these attenuator trimmers are really nice. I'm not sure I like the toppers. Oh, I'm just seeing what you said, Moochie. I went with frequency instead of resonance. Think it's okay? I'm also noticing that I think I put a dirty knob on there. Let's put a fresh one. Yeah, it's a little bit arbitrary, honestly. Look how dirty this one is. It's got like chalk on it or something. There's a fresh one. All these are essentially bought secondhand, so people run their studios differently. Okay. I think we're kind of set. Yeah, I'm really not sure about the toppers. I might get rid of them across the whole case, but this is what they look like on the case. They're in the elements to match. I feel like I don't really like them though. They're a little like extra. The warps it's useful on because it has no color, so I appreciate having like a little color on the warps. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think for something like these, I wouldn't want one with and one without. So that's a problem for me. Like, I need to decide if I'm just doing all of them toppers or not. I think for now I'll throw the toppers on, but, you know, I'll think about it. Maybe I'll get rid of all of them. The only benefit to a topper, by the way, I can show it to you, is here. So I love this module. This is the ALM HPO. It's just an output module, but the knob is so small, the volume knob, and it doesn't have a white line, so when it's buried underneath a bunch of cables, you can't tell. So the topper on this one does something incredible, which is it both makes the knob taller so I can hit it, and it makes it the same size as my other trimmers, essentially, like the same height, but it also adds the white line, so it's just extremely good on this. But on these, I'm like, I could go either way. They feel more like I'm putting, what are the things that you put on Crocs? Like the little gems? What do people call them?
You're currently listening to the ROM Chip charity stream, and this was Zora's Domain from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Up next, I'll be improvising around Toby Fox's Waterfall from Undertale, and Kazumi Totika's Drake Lake from
So I'll leave it like this for now.
This is also the last call for requesting a track via donation. The cutoff will be when we start wave racing.
Yeah, what do they call Oliver? Are they called charms? Well, like if I want like Bart Simpson on my Crocs or whatever, or like the little girl from Spy Family, I want her face on my Crocs. You like pay $20 for the Croc charm. We got modular knobs and Croc charms. Moochie, that's what I want. I would pay more than $20 for a Boschi's Croc charm, and it's just foam, you know. Be the sickest merch. They're called gibbets. Wait, are they really? Or are you messing with me? That sounds like something out of, like Lord of the Rings or something. Like, gibbets and crows. Let's put these two ripples in. Oops. Right as the set is hitting some Undertale. This is, again, a live set from a year ago from the ROM Chip charity stream. Yeah, it does sound like a word we shouldn't be saying, for sure. I'm actually going to show y'all over here. Maybe the mic is still messed up, but if we go here, the way this set worked was I had my new mutable case on the left. So here's all the new modules. This is the case I've been working with since like 2020. And I had the like previous version of this case we're making today over here. So you can see like it's in 88 HP instead of 104. So yeah, we're gonna make this better. But this piece playing right now, all the beats and stuff are coming out of, I believe, this side. And one cool thing is you could save up to 4 samples inside clouds. So I had loaded 1 and then I had 4 saved. So my 5 tracks I did on this case were all based on samples that were saved into clouds, and clouds was kind of the driving the video game sample on this side. So the Toby Fox waterfall theme is coming from this side. But yeah, let's get back to... Oh no! I messed up. 1 second, I'll get back to where we were. Were we right here? No. No. Here. Whenever I press 1, 2, 3, it like moves the YouTube video. So apologies for that. But yeah, we'll get back to what we were doing. Okay, so putting in these two ripples. Let's do it. Does it matter? I guess we'll go magenta first. Yeah, magenta first, then teal. So I'm like having a hard time seeing. Goes. I can't wait to play with shoe ripples. What a treat. You'll see there's an immediate difference you'll notice in like the drums that we are setting up before once you can filter them. Bang, bang. I need new screws for this one. Very hard to find ripples these days, by the way. For those of you who aren't with us at the start of the stream, I was explaining that I use these like M3 nylon pieces to go between the screws and the modules. Just for cosmetic reasons. And then for all these mutable ones, I just use some just M3 screws that work with the nuts that Ricardo put in. Which are these. These are the style of nut in the rails of the case. Okay, here goes the teal ripples. You know, and I haven't looked at the red stripe on this teal one. Just double checking to make sure over here that it's all looking right to me. Because I did just get this one. Yeah, the ripples are like all gone. They're very, very hard to find. I love this next track. Yeah, this is probably my favorite track. It's a Wave Race 64. I love how simple and kind of dumb it is, and I love the vocal chops in this track. Moochie, one thing we'll have to do is if we keep the toppers, I'll probably have to put black toppers on the black potentiometers, the trimmer pots that don't have them. So that's a bit annoying also. Because I don't like the difference here between the teal one and the black one being different sizes. Likewise here. So we'd need at least 7. Hey, look, I put one here. It's very crox-pilled. I'm gonna call them charms, I think, Oliver. Wait it! These are all the like announcer and your wave race jet ski pilots crashing out is like what these samples are from. So good. To do a barrel roll. Shoop. Alright. What do we need next in this case? We're getting to the end of it. It looks like we're gonna do frames into a veils up here and just the clouds down here. But you know what we should do next is after this wave race track, we should test to make sure all of this is working correctly before we keep going. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in prematurely and start working it out. Yo! But I won't disrupt the wonderful wave race track. Come back! Looks like we're getting power to everything. Six, 7, indeed. This was before 6-7 was even like a weird meme. The emergence of the new Dadaism, memes that don't even have like a reason to be memes. I like this kind of like, suddenly the track takes itself seriously in the last moment. It's like very intense ending. These beautiful chords. This was samples from Drake Lake, these chords, from the Wave Race 64 soundtrack.
I hope you've enjoyed this set so far for the ROM Chip charity stream. I'm Patrick Lemieux, and this was an hour of improvised music made with a modular synthesizer and some old video game samples. We have one last track based on samples from UFO 50, specifically Porgy's Shallow theme by Eric Sorke. Please stick around for a live performance based on tracks submitted with donations.
Oh, sorry, Dumb Dad. Good girl. we'll come back to the music, but for now, let's test that this is actually even working. Okay, so, well, one thing we definitely want to do is take our bass and snare, unplug those, and we want to take them into the dual ends of our first ripples. And one of the tricks you can do with the ripples is you set it actually to take the high pass with a huge resonance bump and set it to the frequency of your bass drum, so you get that big resonance bump right on the kick. So let's see if we can do that. Taking out the clicky sounds for a second. So here's the high pass. You'd think you'd be doing a low pass gate on the kick, but no, high pass. So it gets absolutely massive. So here's a kind of what it typically sounds like. You can do a steeper roll off on it. You can actually distort it too with this, but I think we're just going to leave it kind of in this territory. And then we can do elements. So instead of we'll still do our clicky kind of drums over here, but for the accent, let's make it hit elements. And then just to test, let's throw elements into our, just to make sure it's working. We'll throw it in here. Yeah, we could even throw it into our second ripples, in fact. And let's get a new color for elements. I think we'll do blue. We could throw the bass in there also to ripples to get a more gnarly. I mean, our bass sounds really tame right now. But let's do the elements just to make sure we're getting it. And we'll do the high pass again. Throw it in here. I think we need longer gates than what we're getting out of the accent. So I think our gate will just make in Pam's real fast. So we're going to number 3. I'm gonna make it cap in not that often, and we'll just send one of these gates to probably do like a Euclidean pattern to make this play. And it doesn't have a I think if we have no input on shades, we can send the same quantized melody, although it's not gonna be quantized anymore. But so let's take it out of the Pams here. Hopefully this doesn't I think this will be okay. We'll see if it doesn't sound right. Oh, yeah. We want it out of not Pam's, but out of the sample and hold. Both tides and elements have a quantizer in them because they're both digital modules. So that does sound kind of off compared to our bass. Let's just do it, oops. We'll just tune it from scratch to get these kind of orchestra hits. Okay, I think I'm like happy with that for now. We'll keep working on the patch in a second, but at least it's all working. Let's turn it off. We didn't test the warps actually. What would we? Oh, we can do the braids through the warps. Let's give that a pink color. Just checking on chat for a second. Yeah, so we want to do this. Da, da, da. Pink into here. Pink into here. And we'll throw this into... That crackling sound doesn't sound good. We'll throw this into the... in. And then we'll take the 1 and 2 summed into, whoops, into our out. So, I mean, warp sounds amazing. I can see why a lot of people like having one of these around. It'd be cool to control both this knob and one of the ripple's frequencies with the same knob from Shades. Alright, so this sounds good to me. Turn it off. And what do we have to do next? I'm going to turn the music back on. So maybe we're getting towards the end. So maybe I go to another of the ROM chip fundraisers. Oh, because I pressed 4 for 2024, it comes over to me here. Maybe we want to do this. We want... Actually, I'll just put it to here for a second while I find this. We want the first annual fundraiser. There it is. Okay, here we go. So this was from 2 years ago. And it's very forest
Is
themed.
there.
1 second. I'm doing my intro. So yeah, I will publish these full videos on my channel. It's just I haven't been putting stuff on my channel for a couple of years. Hence the live stream. Okay, here we go.
Charity stream.
Let me know if the music's too loud. But the next thing we need to do is, oh gosh, 1 second.
Synthesizer for the ROM chip charity stream.
Sorry, every time I press my button to get here, it like flips to a different part of the YouTube video. Next up, we're going to be adding clouds to the bottom and frames to the top, as well as there'll be frames and veils next to one another, and this is prototype veils. You'll notice it's only 10 HP wide, whereas the final veils that came out was a little bit wider than that. I think it was 14, but it's missing the curve. It's missing basically all the trimmers. So it still has FM, or it still has CV in to control the knob, kind of like the new version of Shades, but it's this is a much earlier version of the module, and it looks like it's 2015 version 1. So I'm very excited to use this. This is kind of like a one of a kind. But yeah, we'll put these at the top, clouds at the bottom, and then we'll end with a few small utilities. So let's get those in. Let's see what Muchi is saying. Oh yeah, thanks for dropping by, Muchi. Appreciate you hanging out. Hope it was a good time. And yeah, I'll probably be streaming for like 30 more minutes. I'm almost done. But yeah, really appreciate you dropping by. See you next time. So I think we'll do frames up here. This is where I might actually have to dip this down to do the last couple, but we'll see. Only a few left. Alright. Checking my red stripe real fast. I'm actually going to plug all these in real fast. So, red stripe. And just checking the clouds red stripe. Looks good. You can see we have a lot of extra nuts. I'm going to hide those under the larger modules, so frames and clouds. And I know on this side, on the top, I only have 2 modules left, veils and my nearness. So that'll be 2 nuts each. So all the rest can go underneath frames. Sorry, just dropped my screw. Alright, there's frames. Oh, I actually need to unscrew it because I need to plug in my nearness immediately. So we're running out of space. You know what? I can do it from underneath. I'm also going to plug in my HPO. Just checking red is right. Alright, that should be all the modules plugged in. Let's just screw them in, then we'll do our final test and be done. We have the prototype veils next. So let me get 2 screws ready for it. Thanks for hanging out with me today while making this
is the
rig.
charity stream, and you're listening to an improvised synthesizer set featuring forest-themed samples from retro video games. So far, we've listened to 12 AM from Animal Crossing New Leaf, followed by Hiroki Kikuta's What the Forest Taught Us from Secret of Mana. Next up is Besaid Island by Masashi Hamauzu from Final Fantasy X. And if you'd like to request a track, leave me a message when you donate. I'll play the song mentioned in the highest donation.
Oops. Yeah, so the music we're listening to is from the Ground Chip charity stream. I'm not running a fundraiser right now. And this is all built, this music was all made with similar types of modular rigs. Alright, we're really getting there now. Only a few more modules left. I did drop a few screws during this, so I'll have to find them later. Here's me struggling with the screws over here. We'll need one for nearness. Cloud still has this original screws, but I dropped the ones for HPO while I was showing the module early, so let's get 2 more screws for that setup. The modules that aren't making it into the case are up here. Oh, and it looks like the light's changing because there's more sunlight outside now. So I look blue, but looks like yarns won't make it into the case. Shelves won't make it into the case, at least right now. One of the ones I'm most sad about is branches not making it into the case. Yarns is for MIDI into modular. Shelves is a big EQ, so the ripples takes care of that. Branches does some coin flip algorithms that are really interesting. And then edges is a it's kind of like an 8-bit chiptune sound, and I will flip elements out for this occasionally. I also have the CV PAL and the 12-volt converter, or 5 to 12-volt converter from Mutable. So this set of modules are the ones that will kind of be transferred in when I need them. Alright, so that's the top row. Frames is a meta module for modulating other modules. You can send 4 offsets anywhere you want on the board and then use this large knob to control a bunch of other small knobs, which is really cool. It also has a keyframe adder, so you can add keyframes of states of those different knobs and then smoothly or not sharply move through the states. So it's actually an amazing source of control to change like A, B points. Oh, cat, 1 second. She must be getting hungry.
For those of you just tuning in to the ROM Chip Charity stream, I'm Patrick Lemieux, and I'm playing a little improv modular synth set, sampling music from forest levels of various video games. We're currently listening to The Forest Temple from Ocarina of Time, and up next we'll get into The Lost Woods from Link to the Past, both composed by Koji Kondo. If you'd like to request a track, donate with a message. I'll play the highest donation at the end of the show.
So we're almost done. Just going to put clouds and our HPO output module in on the bottom row. After frames, we have veils, which is a set of 4 VCAs, super useful, and nearness, which is a mixer that simulates panning. The further you are out on nearness, the further the pan is. Okay, you may have noticed there's a little gap here. I have a 2 HP module from Whimsical Wraps, the width module that I'm gonna test out there. But we're essentially done with the case as it was designed. And the last thing we need to do is just power it on and make sure these last 2 or 3 modules work. And then we'll be done with the stream. I'm gonna fade out the music here, even though it's getting good over here on those recordings. But yeah, we'll just do one last test of the audio to make sure it's all working. I'm gonna pan out the camera so we can see the whole case, and we'll plug it in and make sure that it's good, and then I'll sign off. This was the whimsical module that I'm gonna add. Very cool, but I haven't practiced with it yet, so I need to kind of read this scroll, apparently, of how this thing will work. Fantastic. This is essentially a tape recorder, but it has a lot of interesting possibilities, so I'm going to do some tests with this and see if we want it in the case. It's quite beautiful, but also it's a very complicated module, so I need to kind of work with it a little bit. So this will be the last one we probably add that will live in the case. But for now, let me pan out. Perfect. The sun is kind of getting low. So let me finish up this patch. So we're going to plug in, make sure we don't smell smoke or anything. We see clouds is booting up. We see frames. It's kind of working here. And actually a lot of our stuff can be plugged into veils. So let's do a quick edit here of our patch from the ground up and get it into veils, into the nearness, into HBO, and out to the computer. So first off, our drums. We can now just take the bass drums and throw them in here. So that's the bass and the snare. I think I'll just keep them as one. We also need the bass drum itself. So we'll take that over from, we're still going to use streams to do the envelope of the bass sound. We'll put that in our second slide. We could be putting these into frames, by the way, which is what I used to do, but I wanted to try out this Veils. I think frames is working just fine. But we'll also do a quick test of it. Here, the out going into our warps. We can take that out of warps into Veils. Number 3. And then, of course, we have the elements going into our ripples, which we can do into 4. But it's interesting, now we have the clouds. So let's go ahead, instead of just doing elements straight in there, let's take the 2 outs of elements. And instead of throwing them into the ripples, let's throw them into clouds, left and right. Again, this is just a test, so I want to make sure all the modules are kind of firing correctly. And then we'll take the 2 outs of clouds. And we can send these actually into, let's do these into our final 2 of Veils, and we'll just use frames as an attenuator for now. So here we go. Out 2. And that's not screwed in tight enough. Good. Okay, and then let's go ahead and use these purple cables to go out of Veils. So bass drum, dead center. Actually, we can, I think this will still work. We can send the bass into both of these, so they'll be added. And then the left and right go far left and far right. And then we can send our output to the computer from here. I'm going to turn everything down and we'll bring them in one at a time. Start the patch. So left and right. First the kick. Then we have the bass part. Okay, 2 things we need to do is we're hearing clouds okay, but I think we need to trigger it. And we're also not mixing in our hi-hats yet. So let's make sure we are doing that as well. And then we can also take a pattern out here. Here we go. Just looking for my long blue cable. And throw this into the trigger. I'm hearing the elements go through clouds, but our clouds patch right now is not. Let's see here. So that's how much wetness is the clouds. We want the feedback to be maybe a little higher, and the room sound big. Okay, cool. So there we seem to be getting some of that clouds going on. A little bit of the feedback. Nice. So every module on here appears to be working. So next time you see this case, we'll be building another patch, probably from scratch, to figure out kind of what are some things that it does well, what are some things it doesn't do so well. Thanks very much for joining me and watching me kind of put this together. There are some few tweaks that I want to do to it to get kind of the final probably modules in here, and also to make sure everything is kind of in the right places. I'm still trying to decide if I want, maybe warps needs to be on the top row if I'm going to be using it a lot. But for now, that's it. Thank you for joining me. I haven't ever done a live stream on YouTube before, so this was fun. I'll try and archive this in a new channel or a new playlist on the channel. Thanks again.